Greetings to one and all, it's your old buddy Jay here coming at you with another Countermeasures game changer. Now, I know what you're thinking, where have you been? Well, I've been all over the place and I haven't had any time to put any of my time into any of my YouTube videos, which has been a growing concern for my mental well-being. That said, I had quite a lot of work on, which has been really good. I've been all over the place and I've finally managed to get back to a place where I can start ticking things off my list that I want to get on the channel. So I've got a few other episodes coming up for the sort of core of the Countermeasures videos I like to put up. But I thought I'd kick things off and have a little refresher with myself by reviewing a game which came out a little while ago, but that I did really enjoy at the time, and I've been itching to talk about it. So that game is Aliens Fireteam Elite. Now, anyone who knows me and anyone who was born in the 70s or 80s, if you're not an Aliens fan, then there's something clearly wrong with you, because the Alien and Aliens films are two of the greatest kind of sci-fi horror and sci-fi action movies that have ever been made. They have influenced and spawned a whole lot of spin-offs. They have informed a lot of games and films and books. People have lifted ideas from these films for decades, and it's always nice when a company takes on the challenge of trying to continue on the kind of lore of this entire franchise. Now, with Aliens Fireteam Elite, that company is Cold Iron Studio, the developer, and they worked with Disney's 20th Century Games to bring us this. It is a third-person multiplayer shooter, and it is the first Alien game since Alien Blackout that is a standalone sequel to the Alien trilogy. So there have been some other games that have come out that have tried to carry on the story of the other two films. I won't spoil the other two films if you haven't seen them, but ultimately, in a nutshell, there's an alien trying to kill you. So, and it's your job in Aliens, in that film, it's the colonial marines' jobs to go through and try and kill those aliens, and this is a continuation of that, where you play a colonial marine. So as you can see on screen here, you start off, you're in a ship which is flying above the alien homeworld, which you've been sent out there to kind of clear up. There's all kinds of lore that have been included in here. So there's bits from the films, there's references to characters that were in the films, there's references to things like the yellow loader, which appears at the end of Aliens, spoilers. There's all these kind of like little Easter eggs peppered through this game from the off. So before you've even started the game, this does actually, kick off with a lot of links back to those kind of, those sort of visual signifiers, if you like. It is a three-player co-op game, but you can also play with the computer, playing as, the bots. I wouldn't recommend you do that. I did that to start with because I tend to like to try these games out by myself, so I can take my time and not rush through it. Sometimes you go into these games and if you're playing with people that have been through that particular level 2 or 3 times, they'll just rush through all the cutscenes and they'll rush through all the exploration parts, and that's something that I quite enjoy early on in the game, is sort of taking my time and going through these sections and starting to kind of get in touch with what's building the atmosphere of these games. Now, the atmosphere of this game is very good. They've actually done something which a lot of previous Aliens games have failed to do, which is they have captured the feeling of that kind of horror, suspense, sci-fi theme, which I think they do very well. The graphics, not so mad about the graphics as such. They're fine, they're adequate. I mean, people will say they look a bit like PS3 graphics. I think that's doing the graphics a bit of injustice there, but they certainly aren't the kind of high-end PS5 game graphics that you would expect at this stage. But I'm guessing Cold Iron Studios, they've done a few other games in a similar sort of vein, and I think they've done quite a good job with this. But again, I'm hoping that with sort of further updates down the line, that they will actually improve some of the graphical fidelity, because there is something lacking a little bit, especially in like the facial animations of characters. A lot of the kind of detailing on the characters isn't that great. When you're interacting with any of the characters on the ships, they don't actually voice their own dialogue. The dialogue just plays over their kind of of still morbid faces, which is a little bit disconcerting, but you kind of just sort of get past it and understand that the budgetary restrictions on this mean that they spent a lot of money on the actual franchise itself, and probably suffered in other areas where they couldn't afford to do all of the facial animation. So going forward, it's a good start for sure. Hopefully the sequel or subsequent DLCs will come out and they'll kind of address some of those issues. I think the game's been critically not critically acclaimed, but it's been received well. I think a lot of people I knew at the time when this came out were playing it, and myself included. So yeah, like I said, the story is sort of pretty basic. You're just going through and sort of killing aliens in different environments, and familiar environments too. So they're kind of elements of the films that sort of small elements and areas in the films that you would have seen are kind of dialed up a little bit in here, which I think is fine. You need that kind of nod to the history of it, but I also think it's quite exciting when they don't do that, when it's just like a completely new environment. It's something totally different. And you're engaging these aliens in those environments. It makes it a little bit more exciting, rather than suffering from the old kind of Star Wars syndrome, which is constantly referring back to things that have happened before or places that have happened before. Just makes the whole space universe seem so much smaller. So they have tried to do a little bit of that in this game, but they do lean hard on this is what you remember, here's some more of it, and I think that's fine. But maybe going forward, maybe in the next iteration of this, they could just embrace completely new and wonderful worlds. I'm sure there's plenty out there that you can go through with your mates and shoot aliens on. So that's quite good. That is the story. So there isn't much else going on story-wise. You have all your kind of standard drones that kind of just swarm you, and it's your team's job to just keep wiping them out and moving forward to the next stage. And and there's various level settings which are quite interesting. You can do it on really easy and just experience the whole thing as a kind of sort of fun, very quick story run through if you want to, or you can up the difficulty and get bigger rewards. There are cosmetic rewards in this, which are always fun. So you can have new patterns for your guns and new outfits for your crew and things like that. I didn't immediately see any DLC that you had to pay for, so that's always good. There were a couple of versions of the game that you could buy at the start that would give you different buffs and different weapons and things like that were different prices, but there doesn't appear to be a shop yet that I'm fully aware of. And I haven't jumped back into this recently, but this gameplay's about 5 or 6 weeks old actually, so I don't know if that's changed at all, and I'm due to sort of go back and see if there have been any improvements. But at the time of playing this, there weren't any microtransactions within the game, so that's always a bonus. I hate those. So what else can I say about it? There are nods to previous characters. There's nods to various androids that have appeared in some of the more popular games like Alien Isolation. That was a good one. That was you pitted against an alien on a ship, and there were very much like the first film, where it was just a sort of much more of a sort of horror orientated game rather than an action one. So that's good. Those characters make an appearance, because that was all that particular game had. A lot of the alien lore was confirmed as being canon, so they've obviously included that in here. There was another game called Aliens Colonial Marines, which I'm going to review at some point, just because it is the most hilarious PS3 game I've ever played, or I might have played it on the Xbox 360, I can't quite remember. But that's a whole different kettle of fish, that one, and a particularly hated game in the franchise for not delivering what it said it was going to deliver, and just basically trying to be a bit of a cash grab. And you go into this franchise, any games that come out, and you immediately feel that games like Alien Colonial Marines have sullied the pot a little bit. They've spoiled the pot, sorry, and you're immediately wary, thinking, oh, is this another cash grab? Is this something that people are just trying to sort of bang out there to make a fast buck? And I immediately thought that when I saw the advert for this, because it kind of felt like it could be leaning the same way in terms of monetizing the whole thing, but actually they don't do any of that, and the game is fun. I mean, never mind about the depth of the story, it's not really that deep, like I've said. Never mind about the graphics, they're fine, but they're not amazing. The gameplay say, is fun when you're pitted against, 20 or 30 of these aliens running at you, and you have to take them out. And you've got like turrets and landmines and all these different weapons that you can put down to help you sort of clear the rooms. That horde mode is very exciting. Now, I will say that the 20th time of doing the horde mode, it's not that exciting. So I quickly dropped off playing this game. But initially, I absolutely loved it. And I don't think it was very expensive either. I think I just bought the base standard game. I think it was like 35 quid. So, and now I'm sure with Halloween and all that kind of stuff, there's probably discounts on this, or certainly will be in the future. So I would recommend that you check it out if you haven't done already. So yeah, that's pretty much my review of this. I did enjoy it. I would recommend that you try it. And if I was going to give it a mark out of 10, I think that I would give this a solid 7 out of 10. Like I said, I'm curious to see what comes next. There isn't spoilers if you turn off now, whatever. There isn't really an ending to this game, but there is talk of a lot of free DLC coming along. So I'm assuming that there will be further parts to this story that will wrap the whole thing up in a bit of a kind of neater bow, if you like. But until then, I mean, you could keep running through, getting new weapons, new armor, and all that kind of stuff, and just killing aliens at your leisure, which actually is loads of fun. And I can't actually go without mentioning the gameplay of the guns, because they obviously have all the sound down. The music is really good. So the sound design is top notch. And I think if you're doing any aliens game, you've got to get that right, and they do absolutely nail that. So as soon as you've got that, kind of those quieter periods that are then kind of peppered with these horde mode kind of rush modes, I do think it works pretty well. So yeah, check it out. Hope you enjoy it if you do, and stay tuned to the next episode of Countermeasures. I'm going to try and sort of up the ante a little bit and get a few more out in the coming weeks, and I am actually going to do a review on the Aliens franchise in general, just from a design point of view. So rather than talking about the games, I do all the costume design and all the kind of the writing and the design of all of that stuff is something which is just soaked into popular culture, which is something that interests me. So I think I'm going to take a look at that at a later date. And that's about it. So until then, be good, stay safe, and be kind to one another. Cheers.